Hey, my name is Crunk Chocolate, and welcome to End of Season Report, part of Shades of Blue podcast content season, streaming live here on FanFest and on our Patreon. So shout out to all of our patronies out there who are watching. It is off season, so we can relax on the tribalism. I can hang out with some of my favorite people and talk about their clubs. Like, what kind of a guy am I? Like, no, I'm not even here to talk about Manchester City. I'm here to talk about Brighton. And honestly, I don't mind. Good people. Who doesn't love a beach? You know, water, sun. Well, for what? Actually, before I even fully get you introduced, like, being a beach, does it get warm, like actually warm, or like warm for England? Because
bizarrely we have summer in this country too, and there's occasionally we get this big yellow thing up in the sky, which I believe might be called the moon. No, the sun. It's called the sun. We have proper summers. Actually, where I live, I'm in a place called Worthing, which is like about 10 miles just down the road from Brighton, and I actually live right on the beach here. So yeah, we live very much a beach life. So everyone in my street's got something that floats, so be like kayaks or paddle boards or skidoos. It's like it's a really lovely place to live, and it's just a short hop into town as well. So it's like, yeah, great.
Okay, Well, because when I was there, obviously I was also in the middle. I was at Manchester, and then I went to London, but not that south.
Yeah, not so much sea there, I'd noticed.
Yeah. No, very landlocked London.
I mean, as we used to sing many years ago, we're Brighton home of Albion. We're practically French.
I love that. I haven't heard that before.
And we're as the crow flies, we're actually closer to Paris than we are to Manchester. So
that's hilarious. Well, and that is always the amazing thing about Europe. Like, I was there for the match against Brighton at the Etihad, actually, the draw
of this season.
Of this season,
the one we should have won.
Yeah, the one you definitely should have won. Oh man, and we'll get to the supporters, but your traveling fan base brought it. Like, y'all kicked our asses when it came to bringing the energy.
Story. That is something to get into.
But shout out to Albion Roar.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I guess we've already got you going and started. Please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about the podcast, Albion Roar.
Yeah, so my name's Packham. I'm the presenter of the Albion Roar radio show here in beautiful downtown Brighton. And we just celebrated a birthday this year. We are 18 years young. So basically, we were, when we started this, we're in League One. Not doing very well. So we've covered pretty much the whole journey from that point to where we are now for Europe, to the finish this season. So yeah, we've been going a long time. Myself and my colleague Alan, we don't take it too seriously, but we do tend to be one of the more cerebral shows out there where we actually think about things a little bit more. We're not so trigger happy. We tend to give a reasoned response rather than he's rubbish, he should not be, he's not fit to wear the shirt. We're not that. We're like, okay, he had a bad game, why did he have a bad game, and look at it sensibly rather than be a knee-jerk reaction.
I love that. Our motto that we embraced a couple years ago was, we're making art over here, capitalize the A. So we do like to do a nice little back and forth between being logical, but we're gonna get these jokes.
Don't get me wrong, I'm incredibly silly.
Oh yes. So obviously you gotta have the bands. But yeah, you can never take yourself too seriously, but also
No, absolutely not.
When
And I'm always trying to find the funny in everything, really, to be honest. But it's
honestly, the English do a really good job at that. Sometimes a little too much. Sometimes just like, hey, come relax. But like you guys do a great job of laughing at yourselves.
Trust me, if there's a pun to be found, I will find it.
Complete tangent. Tijani Reinders was just signed by Manchester City, and his like intro video, he was holding a blue Power Ranger, and it totally went over my head until someone tweeted "Go Power Rangers," and I was like, "Oh, I'm terrible when it comes to puns." So like when I saw, I was like, "Okay, I get blue Manchester City, but why a Power Ranger?" And I didn't think Rangers. I was like, "Oh, now I get it. That's great. That's fantastic."
Okay, now you're in the room.
I know. I was just like banging from the outside. Let me in. But the show, how this is going to work, we have 5 categories for people who are watching, listening. Kits, manager, squad, supporters, and front office. I will have our guest grade each category F through A. Feel free to use pluses or minuses. I'm not here to tell you what to do. And we're just going to talk things out, have a good time, and time for our first subject. The Kits. Brighton, I think, I feel like I say this about every single club, but yeah, every club has the way that their kit is supposed to look, what colors are supposed to be in it. It needs to be a certain way. And with the home shirt, it's the blue and white. It's the blue and white. We got to have that. And I think that makes it kind of tough to have fun.
Yeah, there's not an awful lot you can do with stripes, to be honest. But,
exactly. And
I think Inter Milan are like showing a way forward with that. To be honest, I mean, I'm not really interested in our kits. I'm more interested in what you're wearing, and that is a beautiful flamenco shirt from Rio de Janeiro, the team that plays at the Maracanã. And I used to have a flamenco kit, which my brother brought me back from Brazil, like probably talking 20, 30 years ago. And oh my God, it's a beauty. I did think that lubrax might be some sort of contraceptive at one point, but it's an interesting. I believe it's some sort of like motor oil or something. I don't know what it is, but it sounds better as like some sort of sex aid. I think.
I agree with you. I do.
Yeah. But in regards to the Albion kits, I mean, we had this conversation at the beginning of the season. It's something the players wear. I mean, like from our seats, we don't really. I'm over 50 now. I don't really buy kits so much anymore, and the ones I do tend to wear are the more retro ones. Mm-hmm. You know, so the shirts we got. I mean, interesting stats are that we had 3 kits this season. We only actually wore 2 of them. The green and black never got worn, despite having the new shirt sleeve sponsor of Visit Kissimmee, which they were selling in the club shop, but we never actually wore it. But the actual yellow and navy blue away shirt was probably one of the most successful shirts we've had for a while in regards to results whilst wearing it. So that's really where I'm looking at in regards to kits, because it's like, I mean, we've had some horrific ones over the years, but there's been it's how the team play wearing those kits. I mean, there was that's fair. Kind of like a crimson kit we had a couple of years ago, and we couldn't get a point in it. We're not. For some reason it just didn't work. But this yellow shirt we had this season, we managed to. We were really successful on the road with it. I mean, apart from one particular game in Nottingham, but we don't want to talk about that. But yeah, the home shirt, it's blue and white stripes. Like I said, there's not much you can do with it. Interestingly, kit-wise, for next season is that normally what happens is the away kit becomes the 3rd kit. So basically, so it has a 2-year life cycle. But next season, we're having 3 new kits, which would be a lot more exciting had we not just renewed with Nike. I think everybody knows that Adidas make the best kits at the moment. We used to have all of our best kits we've had in our history were Adidas kits, apart from a few of the Urao ones, which are great. But so 3 new kits next season. Can't say I'm very excited about it because it's Nike. So it will be template somewhere along the line. Someone will have something similar, but it will be the way that all shirts are remembered, as far as I'm concerned, is how good was the team that was wearing it. You got happy. You'll remember the kit more if you have any sort of success wearing it. I mean, the kit we had a couple of years ago with the yellow trim wasn't the greatest. It was. Some people even thought it was quite horrific, but the memories that we've got of the players that were wearing it, the likes of Alexis McAllister, Pascal Gross, Moise Caicedo, qualifying for Europe, wearing that shirt is it's those sort of memories. And you go back to the Adidas kit, the FA Cup final, the Phoenix Brewery kit, which was just delightful. Those ones, and the players wearing them, you've got happy memories of them, but at the end of that, it's just a bit of material which marks you out from the other team, right? So I think, I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, and I think it is something that is very important to raise if we're talking about kits, is on the Albion Raw we do quite a lot of work with the Colourblind Alliance. I don't know if you know the stats, but do you know what percentage of men are colorblind?
I feel like it's probably more than I would expect. One of my really good friends growing up, he was colorblind.
Yeah,
and he found out. Actually, it was a while. I remember we were talking about, and I would always feel like, what color is that to you? And because I guess we didn't really talk much about his color blindness, so I didn't know there were different varieties and there were particular colors and things like that. Yeah. So I guess I would guess maybe 15%.
So 1 in every 12 men is colorblind. 1 in 12. Right, so you put that mass into a football stadium. So, for instance, you got a 30,000 seat stadium. How many people are that can't differentiate red from green, for instance? Right. So, as football clubs, as a society, shouldn't we be doing something to make that a little bit easier on those guys? Because one of my best friends, he's colorblind. He used to be the sponsor of our show. He runs a absolutely brilliant, well, he used to run, it doesn't run anymore, but which is why he doesn't sponsor the show anymore, strangely. But he used to run this website called oldfootballshirts.com, and it's like a visual gallery of every football shirt from since they began making them across the world. It's been translated into 7 different languages, but he couldn't tell red from green. He was like, what color is this? And but it was great. But so, if you've got one team that's wearing red shirts and you've got one team that's wearing green shirts, it looks exactly the same. And if you've got a team that's wearing a lighter color shirt, and say for instance, if Man City are playing Chelsea and they're both wearing blue shirts, that's okay because you've got the tonal differences. You can see the light shirt and you can see the dark shirt. But 1 in 12 people can't tell the difference between red and green, or purple and blue. It's something that that football clubs do need to think about when they're actually working out what they're actually going to wear on the day. It makes for, particularly for the match-going fans, it makes a much easier experience. I mean, because it's quite helpful if you can tell who's playing for what team, I find.
Yes, that would, especially when the ball starts bouncing around and kicking around and things like that. Yeah, that would be very helpful.
But yes.
Okay.
So we are Brighton over Albion. We have football shirts. We've been wearing them for quite some time.
proud of you guys. So
Yeah, I know.
do
It's
you
better
think
than wearing skins, isn't it?
do you think
Shirts
that's
be
the
skins
reason
in the Premier
why
League.
they?
Come on.
Well, especially with the speed nowadays. Hey,
Yeah, some of the
bad
ladies
things-
and quite a few of the men would be very delighted in that.
Oh, very much so, very much so. I already have some friends who already say some wild things in group chats about these footballers. So imagine
Yeah,
if
well,
once
they spend a lot of money on these tattoos. Let's see them.
right? Okay, well, is that why maybe they haven't wore that black and mint shirt this year? Like, do you know why they
Yeah.
didn't wear it at all? Like,
I
that
don't
seems
know.
really
I mean,
weird.
we were quite successful in the season before, so I don't understand. I always thought there was some sort of like contractual obligation that you've got to wear it at least once, but
Yeah, you
apparently
would
not.
think. Yeah, you would think. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, well, just quickly give them grades. Even though I know you don't care, you said all that, but they can just be all C's if you want.
Well, I'm gonna because I've seen us score like 4 goals away from home twice in the yellow kit. I'm gonna go with a B.
Okay.
Home kit is just blue and white stripes. It's all right. It's a C. And like
fair.
we never got to see the other one this season, but it was B last season. It was we did all right.
Love it. Yeah,
Brilliant performance in Marseille. We're in that green and black kit.
Yeah, and I actually like that kit. I like the color. I'm not even like a mint chocolate chip fan, but I just like it because I think it's like a clean shirt. Okay, next category. Manager. Oh my gosh. Fun thing. Fun things. Really young guy, actually. I feel like
I'm amazed you brought it up. No one else did.
Is that a joke, or is that how everybody mentions it?
You know what? So basically, when we appointed him last summer, the first thing that people said, "Oh, he's young, isn't he?" And the mainstream media had a field day with it, and not a day went past where someone didn't mention his age. But as the season progressed, people stopped talking about that and actually started talking about his performance. So it's maybe not necessarily such a big thing anymore. I mean, I interviewed him in December, so mid-season, just after we'd lost to Palace, actually. So that wasn't the greatest time to do it, really. But I mean, he is young. He's learning on the job. He's been given a massive opportunity. I mean, we're going to talk about the ownership and the board later on, but I mean, just to bring up in Tony we trust, right? So if he thinks he's the right manager, then we trust what Tony thinks. But yeah, there's been some question marks. There's been some questionable tactics. There's been some not so great decisions that he's made, and there's with a lot of the supporter base there is some skepticism about whether he's up to the task. But like you said, he's young, he's learning. This season it's was always going to be kind of transitional with the amount of money that we spent in the summer and the players and the caliber of players that we brought in. It's very easy to look at football players as commodities, right? So you forget that beyond anything else, any player, regardless who they play for, whether they play for Man City, whether they play for Flamenco, whether they play Inter Miami, for Liverpool, first and foremost, they're a human being, right? So you have to remember that. And I don't think a lot of supporters do remember that. I don't think people see that. They do see like players as commodities, and particularly with the way that we do business, we're often bringing in very young players, and quite often this will be the first time they've left home. It's the first time, but for some of them, it might be the first time they've even left the country. So they're coming into a new environment, with moving. They haven't got their family around, and you know, it's different weather, it's different food, it's a different environment, it's different culture, and you know, it doesn't. And people just expect they look at the price tag and expect people to hit the ground running straight away. But it, you know, it's doesn't necessarily work that way, and you know, you have to have some sort of like realistic expectation. So obviously, some will settle quicker than others, but what we have seen as the season has progressed, that a lot of those players is starting to settle and starting to come to the form. We actually finished the season really strongly. In fact, actually, we didn't want the season to finish. Because you know, if we hit that run of form a little bit earlier, we've definitely been qualifying for Europe this year, regardless of legal cases, etc. So, in terms of but Fabian's also he's on that learning curve as well.
Yes,
as well.
Most definitely.
So, you know, it's interesting. He hasn't necessarily got the personality that Roberto De Zerbi had. He's a little bit more. I think there's a little bit of authoritarian about him. I think he's trying to. I think he's trying to like put his will down because he's so young. He has to do something to make himself stand out. I guess
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah.
But I mean, we've had more injuries this season than any other club. That includes you, Tottenham, and you know, we have to look at the reasons behind that, and one of those is perhaps that he's very keen on the players training as they would play on at the weekend. He wants intensity in every single session. And if you're doing that in every single session, you've got to manage the players' load. You want them to be sharp and fresh for the weekend. And I think he's not put out the same side twice this season, partly due to tactics, but quite often due to the amount of injuries and not having the players available. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next season. So I mean, the jury's still very much out. I mean, I'm very much not Fabian out, but he's still got to convince me a little bit. So I'm going to give him a C minus because the ultimate goal was to. So here, this is the problem we've had this season, right? So the ultimate goal was because we had that European adventure last season. Everyone is hungry for more of that. We're desperate for more of that. We want to like have a break from our wives and girlfriends and go to Rome, and go to Marseille and go to Athens, go to Amsterdam. We had such a brilliant time, but we just fell short of that this season, and particularly with the amount of teams that did qualify for Europe this season increasing. Because of the coefficient and the fact that Spurs won the Europa League and Chelsea won the Conference Leagues, it kind of like we should definitely have been invited to that party for next season. But when you look at it on the other side of the spectrum, it's our second best finish ever. That's like ever. So this was we've had the second highest points tally in the top flight ever, second highest finish in the top flight ever, second highest amount of goals scored in the top flight ever, and yet there's disappointment because we didn't qualify for Europe. So how do you look at that? It's an interesting conundrum, really. But so I think Europe was the ultimate goal, and I think we've left too many. I think when we're looking back over the season as a whole, we left too many points on the pitch in certain games. I mean, there was games against Wolves at home where we were 2-0 up going into the 86th minute and we drew 2-2. Again, away at Leicester, 2-0 up going into the 86th minute, we drew 2-2. That's unacceptable. And and that's down to game management, which is okay. Yes, that's down to the players that are on the pitch, but it's also down to how the manager wants you to play. So, one of the features of this season is a lot of late goals, and so the intensity in training probably means we're able to keep going. But if you're 2-0 up and you're closing out the game, you don't necessarily need the goal. You just need the other team not to have the ball. That's where not having the likes of someone like James Milner available, for instance, it was for most of the season. It was crucial because it is a very young side out there, and the experience possibly isn't quite there. But so not a complete disaster, but we want to see more.
I believe in Fabian because the squad does tend to purchase a younger player and hopefully sell and get that ROI, big ROI energy. And I think it helps to have a younger manager, experiment, try some things. I feel like also not only is Brighton, they kind of use themselves as a stepping stone, but that's the idea is supposed to be for the players, not the management. You've gotten multiple managers who show up, they have a couple of good seasons and they're gone, and then you just have to keep finding the next guy, and that kind of gets annoying. It'd be
we already know who the next guy is. I don't know, but Tony does.
But I like the idea of getting someone who it's gonna take some time. Like this, you're gonna sharpen his teeth with Brighton. And like you said, it's still the second best year that you've had. It's just happened to not be able to get European football, which is unfortunate, of course, because that's the goal for everyone. I mean,
it still might happen. It's not over just yet.
Just trying to figure out who goes where and what happens and all that other stuff.
Well, no, there's two cards yet to be fully played. The fact that our good friends up the arsonists from up the road didn't realise that they might have a successful season and didn't get their house in order in time, and may not, and despite winning the FA Cup, may still be kicked out of Europe because of the multi-club ownership thing. That could still happen. And the other one, the one that you love talking about, God, I know you love talking about it. The elephant in the room, the 115 charges against Manchester City. Will they ever be heard? Will they be relegated out of the Football League and therefore out of Europe? And then we can have possibly take their place.
Wow, we were having so much fun and things were going so well.
It's the elephant in the room, and you know.
Is it though? I think it's a tiny little elephant. It's like the thing.
Oh, what? When you get one you can find in the Christmas cracker? No, it's a huge elephant, and it's like we're talking proper woolly mammoth size here.
I think the media wants people to be more worried about. I don't know.
It's all gone very quiet. It's all gone really quiet.
And I feel like the FA and the Premier League and so many people, like that's why Javier Tebas was trying to throw some other stuff at Man City's way, because he already knows it's not gonna, like, will we be found guilty for some things? Yes, because we did make it very difficult for them to do this whatever research, this investigation. But of course we did. We think it's all bullshit. We think you're all like, this is, again, it's too late. We're already part of the top six. We've knocked the previous cartel out. It's everything's shaken up. And my big thing is
the fact it's taken this long for anything to come out is just somebody's lawyers are better than somebody else's lawyers. But I mean, something's got to give at some point. And look, you know what? If you're innocent, which I don't think you are, brilliant. Come out and say that. Come and say, yeah, there's nothing to see here. But if you're not, then it shouldn't have taken this long. And it's just ridiculous. But anyway, that's for another show.
Yeah, I think worst case scenario, what's going to happen to us? Maybe some points get taken away. I think a huge fine. I think it's going to be like a world record fine, and maybe
that won't do anything in the City. They don't.
Exactly.
Money's
and a transfer ban. I think maybe like a year or two.
It's got to be an 80-point penalty, and you have to win the last game.
It's definitely not happening. That's definitely not happening. I can tell everybody that very comfortably. That's I would be shocked if we lose 30 points. Honestly,
we'll see.
Oh man!
As long as it happens in the next week, and then we can get our news, and then we can enjoy going to Ljubljana and to Aspen.
Well, I guess I'm hoping for other people's failure. I would love to see you.
Yes, let's talk about Crystal Palace.
Yes, Crystal Palace. Focus on Crystal Palace. Put that energy over there.
Okay. Well, you know why Jesus wasn't born in Croydon, right? They couldn't find free wise men in the Virgin, but it was.
Oh well, let's move on to the next topic, which is our squad. So there are players on this squad that I'm a very big fan of. Love the reanimation of Danny Welbeck's season that was this year. Your young player, Verbruggen, he actually shocked me at how young he is. I really am a big fan of him. City fans love Baliba, love him. And Minta, I think he's gonna do some stuff. It's kind of crazy how old Matoma is now, but he's 28, and I feel like I remember he was like that young phenom that hit the ground running and his dribble theory and all this other stuff. And then I look at his age and I'm like, he's 28. Dang, what happened? And that's football. And I know he had some injury problems and things like that. But what are your thoughts on the squad this season, and what grade would you give it?
I don't share your thoughts on Minte, that's for sure. It's
not a fan.
Oh God, he's an enigma.
He's 20.
Dressed as a conundrum. He's he basically comes from the Paolo One-Shop school of footballers, where nobody knows what he's going to do next, including him. And if you're trying to play alongside that, it's very, very difficult. But to be on the same wavelength. And the problem with it is, he's had an okay-ish first season with us, first season playing in the Premier League. But the problem with him is he does tend to take on one player too many and lose the ball in dangerous areas. And his final ball isn't quite there. He's so one-footed, it's unbelievable. There's the game. It was away at Southampton, which Southampton, the worst Premier League team I've ever seen. By the way, when I say we should have won that game 10-0, I am not exaggerating. It should have been double figures, and one of the reasons that it was only 4-0 was the fact that Yankuba. Well, one, he completely Devon locked it. I don't know if you know what Devon lock is, but it was a famous horse who ran in the Grand National years ago, and he was like a free. It's about to finish. We win the Grand National, and its legs just completely gave away like a wonky donkey, and didn't win. Basically, Yankuba clean through and goal. He Devon locked. His legs went. He buckled and it's like he had missed 6 clear-cut chances, which would have been easy to score, and other players missed chances as well. I mean, it's just so frustrating. But a lot of people rate him. I've kind of got a little bit of myopia about him because I just find him so frustrating. But he's only young. He's only 19, so he can. There's lots of room for improvement, and he's in the right place to do that, I think. But yeah, there are a lot of highly sought after players in that squad. João Pedro is likely to not be here next season. He's had some personality issues.
Yes, he has.
I think the worst thing, it's interesting you wearing a Brazilian shirt, that the worst thing that happened for him, as far as we were concerned, was Brazil giving him the number 9 shirt, because he came back and he was an absolute arsehole to the rest of the team. And he started falling out with people, believing his own publicity. He's good, but he's not that good. And there's just he's provided us with some absolutely stellar moments, but I don't think people would be too upset if he was to go, particularly if the price tag was good. And his replacement's already at the club in another player we brought in last season, with Jorginho, who's just an absolutely wonderful guy, and like his boundless enthusiasm and infectious smile just like lights up any stadium room, like Pokemon convention, whatever he was. But yeah, so I mean, he's going to be there. And we've also brought in Stefanos Tismas. He's coming in the summer, and it looks like Charalampos Kostulas is coming in as well, which is another Greek wonder kid, which is looking like where did Brighton find him? I just don't know. There's lots of room for improvement. We saw, like I said earlier, we've seen the squad improving. Like the likes of Brian Gruder got better as the season went on. He started to settle. He starts to looking like he could be a real player. Matt O'Reilly, he's been making some comments like maybe he's looking for an exit, but he was just being seriously unlucky. He made his debut in a game against Crawley, and there was a thuggish tackle on him. His debut lasted 9 minutes, and
rough.
And the guy, despite his thuggish actions, and there was no VAR, didn't get sent off, and his wink was telling, which was terrible. But it basically put Matt on the back foot, and he struggled to get into the team after that. Once he was fit again, but he did start most of the games towards the end of the season. And we're starting to see the player that we thought we'd signed. He's been saying that he feels like he's being played out of position, but we'll see. I mean, we've got a lot of midfielders challenging for a starting position, and that's not going to get any easier next season once Malik Yakure turns up. Who's this young kid we signed last season, spent the season on loan at Sturm Graz, player of their player of the season, star of many a Champions League game for them, and he is likely to be coming straight into the team next season and as a 6. He's very much on the I'm terrible at names today. He's very much on the N'Golo Kante scale of footballer, like not big, but he's everywhere, strong, like telescopic legs. He's a real talent, and there's a lot of excitement about him. So basically, if we can keep him, have Carlos Baleba in the same team, and all the other players that are going to be fighting for berths, Yasin Ayari, Matt O'Reilly. It looks like James Milner's going to be signing on for another year, so he's going to still be around, hopefully. Your face says that's a bad thing. I'm saying it's a good thing, because you can't, like I said, a player like that, when you're trying to close out a game, his experience, particularly when you've got a team where the average age is 18, 19, and you've got old Father Time himself coming on, it's a wise old head in and amongst them, and that's invaluable at times.
No, I'm with you. I just don't like James Milner. He once was a City player. He unceremoniously left us for Liverpool, and he was just an asshole the entire time after he left. Like the fan base, we didn't mind him. We were like, hey, I mean, it's a little weird that you're going to Liverpool. Like, it's very weird.
Do you know how he gets
have fun. Sorry?
Do you know how he gets the training every day?
Oh, God, no.
He's got a helicopter.
Fuck off.
It's true. He's got the train goes right next to Shoreham Airport. He flies in.
No, I don't deny it. It's just I just don't like him. And so, yeah, most City fans, when it comes to James Milner, we're like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, we do like him. We do like him. I think he's not going to start many games, but he might finish if you.
That's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, so and then there's obviously there's going to be a turnover in defence this season, and we saw Lewis Dunk not have his greatest season. I think he will be better next season. I think he's just tired. He needed a break at the end of last season, but he went away with England, trained all throughout the summer without playing any games. But the intensity of the training again with England was full on. And he was carrying a slight knot, and he had a week's break, and he had to come straight back in. So hopefully he's going to be resting up. I don't think he will be first choice next season. I think he still will be club captain, but I don't think he will be captain next season. I think if he's still here, that will go to Jan-Paul van Hecke. And actually, the partnership of Van Hecke and Alan Webster was actually our most successful defensive partnership last season in terms of conceding goals when they were playing. I mean, we had this stupid high line last season at the beginning of the season, which was suicidal at times. Basically, when Lewis Dunk's running, you expect the Baywatch music to start up. It's like he's running in slow motion. He's not quick enough to play. Yeah. In that formation, but we've already brought in Olivier Boscagli, from PSV. So he's already in the building. We're looking at a few other. I think it's Diego Coppola coming in from Hellas Verona. Which is another highly rated thing. So I think the defense is going to be revolutionized next season. It looks very much like Pervis Estepinian is going to be leaving, which is very sad. But he's been blowing hot and cold for the last season and a half anyway. He's had a few issues with injuries, and we've had issues with Karu Matoma's injuries as well, which you mentioned earlier. But when you've got Purvis and Karu working together in tandem, it's world beating. But Karu can do it without Purvis, but Purvis can't do it without Karu. And he's been left wanting and been a little bit out of position. So if someone like, for instance, Man United were to come in for him, which is what rumoured, well, if he wants to win things, he's better off staying here rather than go. He's not even going to. If he wants to go to Manchester, he might win the egg and spoon race in the local fate. But it's like, I think maybe his race is run, but the way that the club is run, we have this. We have this turnover. No one's irreplaceable. It's very much the team is a sum of its parts rather than having superstars. And that's the best way for a team to be. I mean, you only have to look at PSG this season to see what happened after all their superstars were shipped out. They became a team and won the Champions League deservedly. So. It's that's the way we run. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that I don't think we want to be seen as a selling club. I think we'd like to become a destination club. But the way that the recruitment works, when we're talking to players, we will map out their future with them. there will be a clear plan. This is something Jan Paul van Hecker said when he came to us from Herenveen. I said, okay, look, what we want you to do. You're not going to get into the first team straight away. What we want you to go, we're going to send you out on loan to a championship club. So we went to Blackburn. He was their player of the season. He came back, got used to English football, got used to the rough and tumble nature of it. And then he was drip fed into the team. And now this season he's been player of the season. And he knows at some point there will come a point where someone was going to offer an awful lot of money for him, and his career progression will continue. But that's the same conversation we have with every single player that in the squad. There will be a clear plan and a route for their career, and which we will help them with, and we will not stand in their way of progressing. Which is why we're able to get so many brilliant young players through the door, because they know that there is a plan for them, and we're not going to stand in the way. And of course, we want them to stay here for their entire careers and make us as successful as we possibly can. But we're also realistic that there are bigger clubs than us, and there are teams that are going to pay a lot more money than us, and that's a part of a young professional footballer's a career path, isn't it? So. It's the likes of, I think we've got a young player in Jack Hinshelwood, for instance, who I think he will warrant some attention. But he's biting ball and bed. He's part of the Hinshelwood Albion dynasty that goes back 30 years, and actually that was one of our moments of the season when Jack came on against Liverpool. Alongside 16-year-old Harry Howe, who was making his debut. 16-year-old Harry Howe is Jack Hinshelwood's cousin.
Oh.
And so it was, and he's another one that's of the Hinshelwood dynasty. His dad played for us. His uncle managed us, and coached us. It's wow. Yeah, there's a few of them around, but yeah, he's got the potential. I would say right now, I think Jack Hinshelwood will be going to the World Cup next year.
Oh, ooh, I like this though. Oh wow. When our pod first started, my whole thing about Brighton was, hey, when will they bet on themselves and not rely on flipping a great player? And I said that for a couple of years, but like you said, that's just how they work, and that's how they're able to get these amazing young players with the idea that, hey, you will eventually go somewhere else, you'll get paid, we'll get paid, and this will be a great relationship together. We can keep it moving to the supporters. And
I'm giving this squad a C, by the way.
Oh, right. I forgot I didn't even look over at that. Thank you for giving me that. Okay, fan base. Like I said, at the match that I was at the Etihad, but the Brighton's fan base, they were loud, and that was for City, that was still a pretty dark down part of the season. It was way before they consistently were winning. I want to say they had the lead twice, or maybe got the lead. No, tied it up. Got the lead.
We should have won. We know we should have won. Carlos should have scored at the end to make it 3-2, but it was. I think there was question marks over one of your goals as well, but it was like where I'd need to go back and look at the highlights again. But I've slept since then. But yeah, our supporters, interesting fan base at the Albion. It's a lot better away from home than it is at home. We travel in numbers. We travel well. We sell out every allocation we get given across the country, across Europe. It's a very passionate fan base. Some like every club, there's always going to be a few idiots. But it's generally speaking, it's just the atmosphere at the Amex. It's really helpful if we have a terrible ref, because that unites people. It's a new build stadium, and we're 12 years in 12 years, no. 13 years into life in the stadium now, and it's still going into itself. It's the same at City. It's not the Main Road was a lot more raucous. Places, generally speaking, I find if it's places that have got old-fashioned style terracing, it's a lot easier to get an atmosphere going because the like-minded people will find each other and congregate, and they will make all the noise, and then that will spread out across the stadium and everything else. But when you've got all-seater stadiums, and you might want to be like one of the noisy ones, but you might be sat next to like an 8-year-old and an 8-year-old who aren't necessarily going to be of the same ilk, of the same mind.
Exactly.
When the atmosphere, when it's good, it's really good at home, but it does need to. It could be better. Away from home, where like I said, everyone finds each other. It's even though you are generally given a seat, it's generally pretty much unallocated, really. And people are buying tickets together, and it's like everyone finds each other. So it's a thing. But yeah, I mean, again, if we're talking about the supporters, I suppose we have to talk about the weight of expectation. I think realistically, I mean, I mentioned this earlier. How do you look at the season? Like, do you look at it as the second best season in our entire history? Or do you look at it, we didn't qualify for Europe, therefore the manager's got to go and we're useless? It's just a case of tempering expectation. I'm the same. I was really disappointed that we didn't qualify for Europe, and I was frustrated as hell about it. But then you got to look at the reality of the fact that, you know, we're Brighton. We don't finish in the top. We haven't finished in the top 10. We very nearly went out of existence, like in 1997. We've come back. We've still got a club. That's the most important thing. There is an element of our supporters who look down on the younger supporters. They'll go, yes, but you weren't at Hereford, and you didn't go to the Goldstone. But I mean, these guys can't help when they were born, right? So, and there's a new generation of fans that weren't there. We won't ever let anyone forget where we came from, and the fact that we had to fight to save our club, and we will help any other club that is in the same situation as we were in. We will be the first ones there and the first people to offer help. But it's and teach people how you can try and save your club. It didn't work with Bury, unfortunately. Reading's, well, I've got an issue with Reading. That's another story. But it's a long story. I'm not going to go there. I used to live there for a little bit. It's not a nice place. But so in terms of that, you know, we have to be these young kids that weren't at Hereford, weren't at the Goldstone. They're the future of the club. They're the ones that are going to be supporting our team when we're not here anymore. And so we have to embrace it. And but you know, we've all got to work together to try and improve the atmosphere at the Amex, because it needs to be done. So you're a grade C, away from home A.
Yeah, and you described the new stadium situation. I got to the game, and I was seated around a bunch of people who they had been there since Main Road, but it was like a wife, a husband, their kids, another set of friends and their kids. And the person next to me that I thought I connected with some people that I knew also knew her through social media, and she mentioned how she met me and called me loud. I was like, yeah, of course I'm loud. It's my first game. I'm at a football. I'm supposed to be cheering. But I'd be like trying to do the cheers, and nobody around me would, like, you get occasional clap and maybe they would stand up. But I was like, I was very upset.
That's me though. I have to do that because I'm in the press box, so I have to be, bravo, 1-0. Isn't it?
Yes.
No,
that makes sense. Yeah.
So it's kind of like when I'm working and doing interviews and stuff. It's kind of like, and when the game's on, it's very like difficult to castigate a tardy left back, or for instance.
That's fair. No, that's fair. Yeah, in the press box, it's different energy. But if I'm in the row that I had a great spot, like Pep heard me and turned around and waved. Like that's how close I was to him, that he could hear me screaming at him.
Yeah, you could smell his farts. It was a beautiful thing.
And it did. It smelled great. It smelled like tobacco and vanilla. Yeah. Okay. Fans got C. Well, our final topic.
A away from home.
Hey, and I'll even put that in. Front office. We kind of talked about how they move and maybe hopefully expectations for the future and things like that. But overall, how did the front office do this season, and what grade would you give them?
A.
Oh, I like that.
Simple. In Tony Bloom we trust. He is he's one of us. There's been a Bloom on the board since the 60s. He's first and foremost he's a fan. He's got the club's interest totally at heart. He's not like he's not one of these a foreign owner who's just flying in trying to make money. He's put so much money into of his own personal fortune into the club, which he knows he's never going to get back. He's built the stadium, he's built the training ground, he's he's built the infrastructure. He's got the model. He's got the model of how the transfer business is done. With him, Paul Barber as well. Basically, he's rent a chief exec. So basically, if any of the media outlets want to speak to any of the chief execs about any sort of ongoing political or footballing issue, Paul Barber's the first person they call. He's always there. David Weir, Gordon Greer, all of these guys, they're well versed in how the club is run. There are clubs where you go criticize the board or want the board sacked, etc. That's never going to happen here. Of course, they'll make mistakes. Not every transfer is going to be a success. Not every decision they make about certain things about how the club is run is going to be universally popular. But no, in Tony we trust, and we have absolutely no issues whatsoever in regards to that. Because of him, he's put us on the map. But of course, we've got to go look back to like Dick Knight, who saved the club. Without Dick, we wouldn't have a club. But Tony's taken it on from Dick, and he's turned it into from League One to finishing in the top half of the Premier League, challenging for Europe every season. We're not necessarily. We've got no divine right to success. We expect at some point we will get relegated, but that's You say that, but
I know anything's possible, but that would have to be a pretty significant fall off. This would all the players that you bring in would have to whiff, and it would just be because of money. Like taking all these chances on young players would have to fall through, And if if it does happen, obviously, if anything can happen, that's like a 6-8 year, 8-10 years from now situation.
Look, we're not just about to start looking over our shoulders.
Yes, that's fair.
But
Okay.
History will tell you that Stoke were challenging in the same position as we were, and they were in Europe. Bolton,
That's fair.
And where are they now? So we're part of having success is being aware that it could go horribly wrong. I mean, where did Spurs finish this season? They didn't even get to 40 points, which is the cut-off point where a lot of teams are aiming to get to avoid relegation. Spurs were just lucky that there was 3 terrible teams who couldn't get any more points on the board, because it's like, that is enough. Their points tally is enough for them to see them relegated in previous seasons over the last 5-6 years. So, United again, they were finished down the bottom of the table as well with a very poor points tally. So we're very aware that one bad season could cost you your place in the top flight. But we're obviously fighting at the other end of the table at the moment, and long may that continue. In the way that and the players that we're bringing in should see that continue. But like I said, it's one bad season, a few bad injuries to key players, and you could see yourself struggling at the other end. So it's just a case of being realistic.
No, that's fair. It's very fair. I just, especially with that American Express money, I just think y'all are fine. Y'all be all right.
Amex don't pay us anything. Amex they sponsor the shirt and they sponsor the stadium, but it's not a massive deal.
Oh, it's not. Oh, I just assumed.
They do not bankroll the club at all.
That's unfortunate. Well, and I did like a quick search between Nike and Amex. They do have a partnership. They do a lot of collabos with shoes and things like that. So
we're kind of hoping to get rid of Nike, to be honest. But it's like
I think the American Express is making things difficult for them.
Amex make things very difficult because basically they're very. I'm going back to how we started with the shirts. You may have noticed, particularly on the home shirt, that the colour of the American Express is different to the blue of the shirt, because they won't let us have use the same colour of the shirt. It has to be their corporate logo, their corporate colours.
Oh,
whereas it does look a little bit odd, and yeah. But I mean, again, if you want to talk about Amex, we can talk about Amex. They are massive in Brighton. They're the biggest employer in the city. They've got their UK headquarters here, and you don't live in Brighton if you don't know anyone that's worked at Amex. Is the thing. So they're a massive employer in the city. They do an awful lot in terms of charity and everything else within the city, and obviously sponsoring the club. It's not just a corporate thing. It's a very Brighton thing.
Interesting. Oh, thank you for your time. This was a wonderful conversation. I had some really solid laughs, and I definitely know the club a lot better, and that is exactly why I bring our guests on, is to learn more about fellow Premier League friends. But please plug yourself, let people know where to find you and the things that you do.
Yeah, sure. So again, it's the Albion Royal Radio Show on Radio Reverb in Brighton on 97.2 FM, online radioreverb.com, on DAB, and of course on the podcast. If you can't find us, you're not trying hard enough. We broadcast every when do we broadcast? Every Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And the podcast is we're 18 years young. Lots of stuff in the archives. Lots of old heroes. A few that have played for both Albion and City, likes of Brian Horton, Gordon Smith, for instance. It's a labour of love, but it's as I was saying to someone else the other day, for the last 44 years, Brighton Hove Albion Football Club has taken over my life.
Hey, and
my missus and my daughter disagree horribly, but
well, I know everybody is thankful for. Hey, I'm thankful for you doing this, because we wouldn't be having this conversation. So best of luck this summer. Hopefully every player that you hope to get, you're able to bring him in at an affordable price. Hopefully you can get rid of that João Pedro for all the money. Good luck for whoever is the team that purchases him.
Newcastle by the looks of it, but it's
I don't like that for Newcastle. But listeners, we will be back very soon. And until then, you know the vibes. Shady gang, shady gang, shady gang.